So there were some mistakes made, but custom painting is all about learning. I think I did everything on this twice, but I'm gonna take y'all through all the mistakes I made. It's my first guitar I've actually ever done. I've been painting stuff for 20 some years now, and haven't done some metal flake or actually flaked something out in a long time. Missed kind of a critical step. I've never done any leaf work or turning leaf at all. So I'm gonna take you through how I painted this guitar, give you guys some pointers on things I learned, mistakes I made, mistakes I should have never made, but I'm gonna take y'all through it as we go back and look at everything it took to make this guitar look like this. All right, so for starters, just prime this thing with some regular automotive DTM primer, just urethane primer. 3-4 coats, nothing special. Sanded it down with some 320 just to get it ready to spray some metal flake. And the metal flake I'm using is actually a PPG mini flake. It's gold metal flake, and their mini flake is a little bigger than I'd like it to be. And it's kind of bigger than House of Colors, but it still looks really good. It's not too huge, but put about 200 milliliters of some VWM 500 Intercoat Clear. Put 2 scoops of the flake in there. Looked a little thin, so I do go back. I add another scoop after I reduced everything. So it's about 400 milliliters of Intercoat Clear with 3 good scoops of the mini flake in there. So I'm going to shoot this out of a 1.8 Iwata W400. It's really kind of a lay around primer gun, nothing fancy, but you'll notice I had the gun upside down to keep everything from clogging because there is no strainer in here. But right out the gate here, you'll notice that this is mistake number 1. I should have put down a silver base, got some coverage, or sprayed it out with some black base coat and got it covered with black before I began trying to apply metal flake, and essentially having to cover the entire thing, get good coverage with metal flake. That's something you don't want to do. That's where I messed up right out the gate. But it did turn out. I mean, you know, I did have to put quite a bit on there. This is kind of a heavy double coat, but you can see, especially on the side cast, where it's really gray. You can see right around all that metal flake. So it took a little while to actually get this covered up. So that's after the first kind of a heavy double coat. You can still just see the gray. And I probably should have stopped and just went ahead and shot some black over it and continued on, but I just figured I'd be all right, which shouldn't have done that. As I say, it took me about 4 coats. And it also left behind pretty good texture because I had to put so much on to get it truly covered. But it is truly covered in gold metal flake. And here's one last shot of me doing a last little coat or so. I mean, you can see the floor, how much metal flake I done shot over the floor. So we're truly covered in gold metal flake. Now we're going to start putting some clear coat down. I was using the Revolt 357-66 Euro Clear. Shooting that out of one of the Porpoise BRD 815 guns. So I ended up putting 3 coats of clear on there, but you can already kind of catch a glimpse of how rough this thing is just from having to put all that metal flake on. So 3 good coats. Now you can see when it's dried out, this has been a day or two later, how rough it is. So again, I turned around, just using 320 again, and sanding everything as flat as possible. But one of the issues with trying to sand something this rough, I was kind of running into basically cutting into my metal flake in certain areas, which will give it an odd look if you're trying to maintain that actual metal flake look, because you're kind of cutting on the side of the flake. So after noticing I was really getting into it a little bit, kind of hit the brakes, went and got some HOK Pagan Gold candy, went over top of it with that, and just basically put a light coat just to kind of cover up and blend in those cut throughs on the metal flake, which actually turns out really good. It does give it some added depth to it, and darkened it up a little bit. I should have just used a silver metal flake to begin with, and just candy coated it, candied it with Pagan Gold or some sort of a yellow candy. But again, put that Pagan Gold over top of it, and then came back with some more of that Revolt Clear to get everything leveled out as best I could, so that we could sand it nice and level anyway. So when I sanded it the second time around, I just went ahead and did it again with 320 on a block. Nothing fancy, just, we're going to be putting candy over top of this stuff, so the scratches aren't going to bother it. We're not laying down a fine metallic, so we don't need to get a really high grit. So 320 blocked it out flat, and now I'm just kind of working on what kind of design I want to put on it, kind of making me some borders, some things where I know the controls are going to be, so I know what to avoid in my design, or what to utilize in the design essentially on this one. I've got the pick guard there kind of set in place just so that I can, as I said, just make sure I don't make a design underneath it, because I wasn't sure if we were going to use that pick guard or go with a clear one. So I wanted to kind of work it both ways, make sure that the design would work with a pick guard, or the design would work without a pick guard. But what I did want is definitely the outer edge to maintain the gold flake. So I'm kind of bordering out the outside right here with some the FBS fine line tape. So I'm doing the same thing on the back side. Back side I'm not going to get too complicated with either. Trying to keep it simple. Now here I've switched off to actually laying down some sort of a pattern. So I'm trying to just figure out what exactly I want to do. I'd kind of drawn some things out. You can briefly see a piece of paper over there on my desk where I'd drawn some things out, kind of what I wanted, but really just kind of sitting down playing with it and kind of figuring out what I want to see and what I don't want to see. So again, we wanted this thing to look like a Lowrider, so some, kind of some endless lines were said, obviously some candy colors. So here I'm basically laying out where I've got a plan for my leafing on the outer edge. Just want to kind of go ahead, and even though it's kind of a double taping scenario, waste of tape, I kind of want to see what's going on. But most of that's going to come right back off and have to get retaped later. So here you can see my design where I was going to do my endless lines where I want to keep that gold. So everything covered up is going to stay the gold metal flake or gold candy. And now we're going to start putting down some HOK or House of Colors cobalt blue candy. Now here's my second problem. I had done a spray out panel over top of just gold metal flake, and it didn't seem to turn very green at all. But here, because I had already candied it and we had kind of more of a yellow color than we do just a gold flake shining through, it was turning green, which obviously blue and yellow make green, so not rocket science. But I had kind of prepared for this situation in a way if something went haywire. So it wasn't working out after 2 coats. I could just see it was just way too green. I did not want green, blue was the goal. So I went and grabbed some blue base I had, which I think was maybe a Honda color of some sort. Threw some silver metal flake in that, and just went through and just basically just shot it with some blue, some sort of a blue pearl base coat with a little bit of silver mini flake in it, and just to get it covered up in blue. And then I'm gonna go back with the blue candy again and just add some of that on top to give it some extra depth, kind of hide that silver metal flake a little bit. And of course, in the end, nobody knows any different if I wouldn't have told you. So with the blue on, you can kind of see how everything looks. You can see that metal flake sticking up through the base coat now that I've basically dirtied it up with metal flake. And once this dries out, we're going to start doing a little bordering around with just some black base coat. I'm going to go around the edges of everything. I wanted to kind of give it some depth, or some border, I guess, and some depth to it. So airbrush a black line all the way around it. And I'm going to do the same thing on the front side, as well as we're going to go over all of our endless lines to also kind of highlight them a little better and border and break them off. Even do a little bit extra in the corners in some places, and that was mainly because I had a couple little blow-throughs in places I was kind of trying to hide. Use it kind of a mistake hider, but I'm gonna throw a little bit more blue candy right over top of it just to kind of blend all that in. See how it's gonna look before I actually go into doing the clear coat on it. And then of course it's time to get all this tape off of here, which is always the fun part, kind of revealing everything. So back with that clear coat again. That Revolt 35766. Gonna put 3 good coats down. But with the 3 coats on there at this point, gives us plenty to, it covers up the lines from masking everything, and gives me plenty on there to be able to sand this thing with 600 and get it flattened back out. All right, so here I'm actually pouring some of the sizing glue into my little SATA 0.8 millimeter mini jet. You can tell in the guitar here, you can probably see it's got kind of a silvery look already. That's because this is the second time around that I've tried the leafing on it. First time I brushed it on and kind of had some issues in some areas, a little drier than others. So this time around I decided to just attempt it with a spray gun. Now, I do have a spray out panel you can't see in the background, where I was kind of doing a test panel and doing this at the same time to use one to really check versus the other. But I'm putting a light coat, just you can kind of see it's just enough to kind of brighten it up and wet it just a little bit all the way around everything. Now then I'm going to let this sit for about 15 minutes. I'm going to come back kind of check it's got just a little bit of tack to it. It's been 15 minutes, about 85 degrees outside. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put a little bit of a wetter coat. Just taking my time, put it on, back and forth a couple times. Just wetting it up, but trying to keep it even, because that was my issue with brushing it on, was I had some uneven areas, and I attempted to put the leafing on, and some areas were not as dry as other areas. So I had issues when it came to the turning part, which we'll get into in just a minute. But you see I'm just kind of lightly going through, really not even a full trigger pull, just kind of wetting it on there and paying attention to where I'm going. Then I'm going to spray me a little spot out on the paper. A little spot on the paper there is just for me to check later. So waited 45 minutes, came back in. You hear that squeaking? That's how you want it to hear. So it's got just the right amount of tack. Now we're going to start laying down all the leafing. Now, you really should use gloves. I didn't use gloves because my hands sweat like crazy. Like I said, it's 85 degrees in there today. So I'm just kind of laying it down as best I can with my fingers, using the paper to kind of give it a little press down there. Don't press the paper over top of the glue, but just kind of go through and nudge it down. We're going to press it down more later, but right now we just want to get it all on. So I'd also cut these sheets in half, kind of grabbed a stack of them, went through with a razor blade and just kind of did my best to slice through them so they're a little bit thinner, because obviously I don't want to waste a full sheet, and you can see how fragile this stuff is. Now you don't need to worry about the overlaps on this. Once you press this down with, you'll see I've got a roller. Once it's pressed down, you really don't ever see those, especially if you're going to do a turn on it. If you were to leave it alone, just kind of give it that leaf look, then you might see those lines, but once you turn it, it all kind of goes away. It's never going to be absolutely perfect, which is another thing that kind of bothered me for a while in my first few test panels, because I was looking for some sort of an absolute perfect. I have some vinyl that's done in an engine turn that is just a perfect engine turn specimen, but this is the real deal, the real way to do it. Much more difficult, but much more authentic. So just going to get all this pressed down real good. And here's the roller. It's just a foam roller you can get for some vinyl, some sign shop kind of stuff. Pressing it down really good. Making sure I get it especially pressed in along the edge of the tape where I want to keep it. And then we're going to knock out the front side. Now here I'm going to take this brush. This is it's just a wide flat paint brush. You could use a makeup brush, what I see a lot of guys using. But what I'm doing is trying to brush away the excess where it's not stuck to any glue, and making sure that those edges are pressed in real good. Just using the brush to kind of stroke it, stroke a brush stroke through it. It gives kind of a line as well, like a brushed aluminum, I guess you would say. So just removing most of the excess, making sure, especially where the different sheets come together,
brushing away all that stuff so we can make sure that we've got enough on it, didn't miss any places. So that brush there is actually the one I was using when I screwed up the first time around. I think the makeup brush has got that round shape to it. Probably works a little better. But I just didn't happen to have one, failed to get one, and was using that brush, and it seemed to work out good. So now we're going to unmask everything. Then we're going to go back and brush it again. This way we get the excess, away from those edges. Make sure we get anything that's unnecessary off of the rest of the job, which if it hasn't had glue on it, it's not going to stick. So it's okay. Just make sure you mask up what you're using. If you were going to brush it on, you can brush it on without masking everything if you're just going to brush it where you want it. But so from this point, it's been 15 minutes after I finished doing all that. So we've got about a total of an hour and a half in this job from when I originally started spraying glue to where we have gotten here. And I went ahead and did a little turn on there. I know there's a plate that covers this up, so I'm not worried about screwing it up, but I'm trying to do this on the test panel and this panel. This one, it looked like it was a little wet. I was pulling a little bit off when I turned it. So I decided to stop what I was doing, be patient, and I waited another hour. So an hour after that, I'm back in here. We're going to start where we left off. It's another place I could make a mistake. So now we look as we're supposed to. It's turning. They say the longer you wait to turn it, if you can wait till the last possible minute to turn it, it will look better. And I've pretty much found that to be true. Just be patient. Like I say, what are we at? We're at 2.5 hours after I began. And now everything's working good, going through. We're giving a little quarter turns, about a 30% overlap on it. You'll see a closer look here when we switch to the other side, but that's a little turner from Line that I got. It actually uses 5000 grit Trizact sandpaper. There's other methods to it. This seems to work pretty good. You can put it on a tool if you wanted to. I'm not really pressing down. I'm just simply applying some pressure, doing about a quarter turn. As I said, with about a 40% overlap maybe. So here you'll be able to see this a little better. So you can kind of see where the center of the turn is and where I'm landing with the outer edge just off of that center, leaving a bit there. So I'd say about at least 35% overlap. So returned. Finally, I'm happy. And the turning just really gives a good brilliance in the light. Really nice look to it. So it already looks slamming without any clear coat on it. Now I'm just going to barely kind of tack this thing off. I'm not messing with it. Don't mess with that leaf. After you've done all this, you need to be pretty much ready to go into clear coat. I let it sit overnight because you do need to make sure that glue has dried good. So after an overnight dry, I'm going to come in here. I'm just putting a light kind of tack coat over all that leafing. You don't want to go in there with a heavy coat right away. You want to put a couple light coats down, give it some time to flash out, be patient. So this is just another light coat, that same Revolt Clear. Just kind of getting some on it, not trying to lay it down flat or nothing like that. Just get it on there. So now we're going to run through, we're going to do actually, on our third coat is a legit coat of clear. Make sure everything's got it. About somewhere around 20-minute flash time on this one, 20-25 minutes. So fourth coat of clear, or I'd say second full coat. But that's all we need. Everything's laid out nice and smooth from everything else before. That leafing is very thin, so it doesn't leave a hard edge. So I did go back and actually take a little bit of 1500 and some 3000 Trizac, and just wanted to go through and do a little bit of polishing to it. Make sure there was no trash. Just basically make it nice and smooth as I could without getting excessive. So this little cheap knockoff SPTA polisher works really well. Some of that CSI compound also working really well. Just to give it a nice polish. Make sure there's no trash in it or anything like that. So just really bring the shine out, and then we will be done with this thing.
So of course the finished product looks pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to stop where I'm at. I kind of wanted to do a little more, but I think I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead. So of course with the light on, it's you don't really get the benefit of seeing all that fun metal flake shining and gleaming. So let me cut the lights off, and then you'll really see what it looks like. So with the lights off and lights shining, you really get to see that engine turned leaf, that gold metal flake. Really looks good that way. So to wrap up, hopefully you learned a little something. I know I did. Don't make the same mistakes I did on doing this. I should have never made those mistakes. But it's been a long time since I've, like I say, since I doing any kind of a real custom job like this. So hopefully you learned a little something. If you did, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and tap that bell, and I'll catch you on the next one.